Now we can say, that we sing, I know.
What are some of the keys to unlocking the power of God?
Well, one of the first ones I'm going to deal with, I think all the others will hang on that one.
Mm-hmm.
And I think key number one is intimacy with God. And by intimacy, I mean a daily walk in intimacy with God through prayer, through fellowship, through reading His Word. Intimate time spent with God daily, no matter what else you have to do. God's time must never be encroached on. We should never leave our homes, even if we're going to church, without having intimate time with God. Because our intimate time with God will impact on how we go into the corporate worship and the presence of God that comes within that corporate worship. We can, by that intimacy, be able to influence others and impact others, even with our praise to God, with our thanksgiving. For instance, we may go in and we may feel within the service, well, there's nobody praising God. But the very fact that we have had intimate time with God before we come and before we start our day should help us, even if no one else wants to give praise, give thanks, and worship, we should worship. So therefore, if we all came in that attitude, it would change the atmosphere completely. And that is what I find that releases the power of God that is within. It can't be released any other way than through praise, worship, and thanksgiving. Because already God says He has put His glory in us. His power is there. It's there. If we're born of His Spirit, it's there. But there is a key to releasing it. And that key is intimacy with God. Upon that hangs everything else. Who you are in Him, what you are in Him, what you do in Him. Intimacy. Because we will be guided not to rely on ourselves, not to look at ourselves and what we can do, but we will always be looking at what God can do and what He wants to do. And therefore, it will never be about us. It will always be about the Lord. And God works with that. Greater work shall He do. And it's not so much greater in power, but maybe in capacity. Because we can't overdo what the Lord has done. No. We can never work greater than Him.
No.
Yeah? He as well, He's the greatness. And so for the next generation to carry on or to take this baton, they also have to begin first with being truly born of the Spirit of God. And secondly, to create, cultivate that intimacy, that time of fellowship, that time of relationship and worship before God, just you and Him. Yes, there's nothing wrong in spending a day before God praying if you can manage the day. There's nothing wrong in it. These were things that we did as young people back there. spending days before God in prayer, and we still have to do it now. To fast, not when church called fasting, but to fast because the Spirit of God needs you to empty out of the natural, that we may be filled with the supernatural. Yes, because we just, if we're not careful, just live normal, natural, walk natural, talk natural, have church natural, but literally the Lord wants us in the supernatural. We are not called to be ordinary people. We are called to be extraordinary. And I don't mean that in the fleshly behavior, but in the spiritual realm that God has already ordained for us to operate in. So again, I would say to my young companions, begin with intimacy with God. Be real with God. Be really saved. Really commit your life to the Lord. Don't fake it. If you know you're not saved, go to God. He'll save you. Really commit your way to Him. And then begin a relationship, a very intimate one. And you can guarantee the power of God will not cease to dwell, to flow, and to work within your life and wherever God would have you to be.
Amen.
See, I know that